Welcome to the deep dive. If you're looking for, a way to get right up to speed on the biggest shifts happening in tech, well, you've come to the right place. Today, we are tearing into a stack of recent sources detailing just an incredible week of intensity in the AI landscape.
It's an incredible week. We are seeing this rapid acceleration in the frontier model race. And at the same time, you have these huge, truly massive strategic moves from the biggest corporate players. The pace is just dizzying, and we really need to separate what's just hype from the real foundational shifts.
Okay, let's unpack this. So we've organized today's deep dive around three core vectors. First, there's Google's really aggressive push with Gemini 3. That model is signaling a serious leap in capability.
Right. And second, we have that monumental and frankly very complex partnership that now ties together Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Anthropic.
And finally, the pivot. The rapid pivot across the entire industry toward these specialized, personalized AI agents.
Exactly. And our mission here is not just to summarize the headlines, is to understand what this velocity, the speed of change, really means for you, the curious learner. This isn't just about better tech anymore. It's about shifting alliances, managing the very real physical constraint of chip scarcity, and fundamentally changing how we interact with software. We're moving away from traditional interfaces and really into this new era of the agentic OS.
Let's just jump right in then to the showdown. Google just dropped Gemini 3, and internally it's being hailed as the company's new SOTA model, or state-of-the-art. They're calling it the start of a new era of intelligence.
And the sources suggest this isn't just marketing. This model seems to be finally delivering on the promise of, true next-gen capability. It's actually unseating some of the previous industry leaders.
That's a big claim.
It is. But when you look at the benchmarks, the claims become very concrete. Gemini 3, which has what they're calling deep think capabilities, it just achieved new highs on major reasoning and planning tests. And they didn't just kind of inch past the competition. They absolutely smashed the previous marks that were set by models like GPT-5.
Okay, but what does that actually mean to smash benchmarks? I mean, you see names like Humanity's Last Exam and ARC AGI2. For the listener who isn't tracking these leaderboards every single day, why should those specific names matter?
That's a really important question. Because it's not about speed. Not at all. These are tests of really complex planning, multi-step planning, and synthesizing knowledge from totally different fields. Humanity's Last Exam, for instance, it requires the model to reason across physics, social sciences, philosophy, all to solve a problem it has never seen in training.
So it's a test of real reasoning, not just memory.
Exactly. When a model does well there, it signals a massive leap in its ability to handle abstract thought, long-term problem solving. It means the model can reason, not just retrieve and summarize.
And it looks pretty comprehensive. Gemini 3 is taking the top spot in scientific knowledge, math, multimodal reasoning.
Which means it can understand and act on text, image, and video all at once.
Right. And tool use. It's basically a clean sweep. With one small exception, it seems to lag just behind Claude Sonnet 4.5 when it comes to coding.
It does. But the real insight here isn't just the benchmark score, it's the application. The sources repeatedly highlight that Gemini 3 excels in creating generative UI and visual layouts completely on the fly. This moves the model from just being a responder to being a builder.
And this is where it gets really interesting for the user. Google's already showing this off. They've integrated it into AI mode in search. So instead of just getting a paragraph summary back, the model can now build the entire interface you asked for. You could say, compare these 5 data sets and visualize them, and it builds the dashboard for you right there.
And alongside that model launch, Google introduced a really crucial new tool for developers, Anti-Gravity. It's their new and it's free agentic coding platform. The capabilities here are pretty significant. Browser control, asynchronous workflows, and I think most importantly, multi-agent orchestration.
Okay, multi-agent orchestration sounds incredibly technical. How should we picture that in practice?
So think of it like this. Instead of one giant monolithic AI trying to do everything at once, you have Anti-Gravity acting as a project manager, coordinating a whole team of specialized AI bots. One bot is a research specialist, another is a code writing specialist, a third does quality assurance, and a fourth actually executes the task in your browser.
So it's like a custom AI team for any task.
Exactly. Anti-Gravity just assigns the tasks to the specialized units to complete one complex workflow. Something like, book me a complex 3-leg trip based on my calendar and budget. It's signaling that the future isn't one chat window, it's these coordinated, customized AI teams.
So bottom line, Google is flexing serious muscle here. They're unseating OpenAI in the capability race for the first time in a little while, and it signals we are fully in this next generation of frontier models. But that massive leap immediately brings up the big question. Where are they getting the chicks to run these things? Which
Yeah.
I think brings us directly to all the strategic maneuvering happening this week.
Exactly. The model showdown is only half the story. The other half is all about the strategic alliances you need to manage resource scarcity.
Mhm.
And we saw a monumental deal drop this week. It involves Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Anthropic, and it's a textbook example of what you might call a closed-loop funding mechanism.
Let's start with the numbers because they are staggering. We're looking at a combined $15 billion strategic partnership. NVIDIA is investing up to $10 billion, and Microsoft is adding another, what, up to $5 billion? This is pushing Anthropic's valuation to somewhere near $350 billion.
But this is not just a simple capital raise. It is a strategic resource swap. So in return for that investment, Anthropic is pledging $30 billion in Azure cloud commitments, and they're guaranteeing 1 gigawatt of capacity. This is the resource constraint game in a nutshell.
Right.
Anthropic needs compute power, the chips, and the cloud infrastructure to keep training its Claude models. And Microsoft and NVIDIA, well, they need Anthropic's cutting-edge models to make sure their platforms stay competitive and their hardware stays dominant.
Hang on, $30 billion in cloud commitment. That's a massive number. Does this really sound like a positive sum future, like some of the leaders are calling it? Or does it just sound like Anthropic is mortgaging its entire future revenue stream back to Azure just to get access to compute right now? Is this a deal born out of necessity?
I think it's both, and that's the strategic genius of it. It completely bypasses the traditional capital structure, where Anthropic would just sell shares for cash. Instead, what they're doing is locking in their ability to get the necessary and very scarce compute resources for the next, say, 5 to 10 years. That's a certainty that cash alone might not even guarantee in this market.
And for Microsoft?
For Microsoft, they secure a huge long-term tenant who's going to consume billions in Azure services. It ensures their own multi-billion-dollar investment in NVIDIA chips has guaranteed buyer on the other side.
And the operational details for developers seem to underscore just how broad this alliance is. Claude models are now going to be available through the Azure AI Foundry, and that makes Anthropic's models the only frontier option you can get across all three major clouds: Google, AWS, and now Azure. That's a huge distribution win.
And it goes deeper than just cloud contracts. You're also seeing this vertical integration in the hardware itself. NVIDIA and Anthropic are now collaborating on chip design. They're engineering new AI chips, specifically optimized for running Claude's unique architecture. It shows these mega deals aren't just financial. They are about co-designing the entire stack, from the silicon all the way up to the model.
It's interesting to see the commentary from Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella, on this. He explicitly said we need to move beyond a zero-sum narrative or winner-take-all hype. And he framed this deal, even though Anthropic is a direct competitor to OpenAI, their primary partner, as embracing a positive-sum future. It seems like managing the physical limits of compute is driving behavior way more than old-school competitive animosity.
And that strategy, that resource management, is the perfect transition into the agentic landscape. We're seeing a really fundamental shift toward integrating AI directly into the user's OS, into their infrastructure. This is the agentic OS, and is where models like Gemini 3 and Claude actually get deployed for the highest leverage.
Microsoft is making this really explicit. They're restructuring Windows into what they're now calling an agentic OS. They showcased this at a recent internal event, and it highlights how this intelligence layer is going to mediate really every single user interaction.
A strategy like that also demands a control layer. So they unveiled Agent 365. It's a platform designed specifically for organizations to govern these AI agents responsibly. Setting guardrails, tracking usage, making sure these automated features don't go rogue. When an AI is running your spreadsheets, governance becomes absolutely mission critical.
Yeah, and we're seeing these specialized agents being unveiled for every core app. There are new agents for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams. They're even being integrated deeply into the Windows 11 taskbar. All of this is available through Frontier, which is Microsoft's early access program. It really paints a picture where eventually every click, every input is going to be mediated by a dedicated agent running under that OS umbrella.
At the same time, the competition in conversation models is also moving fast. xAI isn't standing still. They just launched Grok 4.1, and it's a huge conversational leap. xAI says the improvements focus on enhanced conversational skills. They describe the model as being more perceptive to nuanced intent, compelling to speak with, and coherent in personality.
So it's a push toward emotional intelligence.
Exactly. That deeper contextual understanding is clearly the next frontier for conversational AI. And Grok 4.1 is already live on iOS and Android.
We should probably pause here and look at the broader market context for a second. This high-velocity environment can't exist in a vacuum forever. Google's CEO Sundar Pichai said recently that there is some irrationality in the AI boom, and he gave a pretty sober warning that no company is going to be immune, including us, if or when the bubble bursts.
That warning gives some really essential context for the massive financial deals we've been talking about. For example, Lambda, which is a major AI data center provider, they just raised another $1.5 billion. And that comes right after a multi-billion-dollar deal they made with Microsoft for tens of thousands of NVIDIA GPUs. The money is just flowing so rapidly, and it's all prioritizing access to hardware. It underscores both the huge belief in the future of AI and the urgency created by those resource constraints.
So the fact that capital is moving at this rate, even with warnings of irrationality, shows that access to the physical infrastructure just trumps financial caution right now.
It seems to.
And we're already seeing creative integrations that show how these new models are being used. Replit, the coding platform, they launched Design. It's a new AI UI experience for creating full website designs right in the platform. And critically, it's powered by Google's new Gemini 3 model, instant adoption.
And on the social side, Poe introduced a new group chat feature. It allows up to 200 users to collaborate in shared conversations with any of the platform's 200-plus AI models. So the utility is expanding from just individual productivity into this shared collaborative infrastructure. That's a key step to making AI agents part of the actual workplace team.
Okay, now let's move to a rapid look at the tools that are hitting critical mass. The practical applications from all this investment that you could potentially use right now. We've already covered the new anchors of the industry.
Right. Anchoring the whole week is Gemini 3, Google's new top-ranked AI model. And its development counterpart, Anti-Gravity, Google's new free agentic platform for orchestrated workflows and browser control.
Then we have Grok 4.1, XAI's latest model. It's got that enhanced emotional intelligence and creativity designed for much more nuanced and engaging conversations.
For the creators out there, there's Marble. This is a tool that lets you create persistent 3D worlds from just images, videos, and text prompts. It's a major step in simplifying immersive world creation.
Now for tools with more specific utility, if you're building custom software quickly, you should look at Wabi. It lets you create and remix AI-powered mini apps without needing deep coding knowledge.
And if your focus is, say, visual marketing or e-commerce, X-Design is gaining a lot of traction. It can create hyper-authentic lifestyle product images with AI, which is perfect for deploying campaigns quickly.
For productivity and sort of personal memory, there's Rewind. It's an AI that remembers and recalls everything you've said and seen on your screen. It basically creates a perfect digital memory of your desktop activity.
And finally, Orloom. This is designed to turn your vague ideas, your text descriptions, even your images into cinematic quality videos. It dramatically accelerates content creation. So to synthesize this incredibly active week, the competition is absolutely fierce. But the ultimate outcome for the user is greater accessibility, more specialization, and just more raw capability. The corporate alliances are forming fast to manage those resource constraints, chips, and cloud capacity, mainly. And the model capabilities, especially in reasoning and this new generative UI, are advancing at a rapid, measurable pace that we just haven't seen before.
We hope you can use the knowledge you gained today to analyze the next wave of AI products you see, really understanding the massive strategic machinery and resource constraints that are sitting just beneath every new feature launch.
And we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to consider. It ties directly back to that warning from Pichai about irrationality. We've established that the models are topping the benchmarks and the funding is massive. But which side, the raw intelligence builders like a Google or an Anthropic, or the platform and distribution builders like Microsoft, which side do you think is positioned best to capture the most sustained value when the bubble, as Pichai suggests, eventually cools? It's a fundamental question, raw intelligence versus platform distribution.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We look forward to having you back next time.